The dream of every girl is to melt fat before your eyes without diets and exhausting workouts. Is it possible? Dear friends, let's analyze today what thoughts and emotions lead to the fact that you get fat. And at the end of this video, you will understand what strategies you need to change in yourself to lose weight step by step and get slimmer easily. My name is Vadym Sanzharov, and I came to psychosomatics from kinesiology and osteopathy. That is, first I worked with my hands. And then I realized that people do not change. They come to me as to a service station so that I change something according to the rules, and then they come back to their lives. And I realized that without changing thoughts and emotions, it is impossible to achieve deep results. That's why I'm in psychosomatics now. Subscribe to my channel. It's all about health and psychosomatics here. Friends, I want you to think about whether it's possible to lose 20 kilograms just by changing your thoughts and your emotions. You can even now press pause and write it in the comments. Do you believe it or not? Is it possible? And I want to tell you, yes, friends, it is possible. And this is the story of one of my clients who came to me with an extra 20 kilograms and said, Vadym, please deal with it. Do what you want with it. Nothing helps me anymore. Neither diets, nor sports, neither one thing, nor the second thing, nor the other. Let's do something about it. Maybe psychosomatics will finally help. And when we worked with her and did exercises, we found a very serious deep childhood trauma. And we found that being overweight was an enabler. I'll tell you this story a little bit so that you can understand how it works. There was a little girl who lived and thought that her daddy was her daddy. Imagine a person lives for some time, she is pleased and happy, and at the age of 13 she finds out that it turns out that her daddy is not her daddy. He happens to be her stepfather, and her daddy is another person, and her real father comes to meet her. It's a shock for her, it's stressful, she wasn't ready for this. So imagine a little child's world has just changed, and at that moment, psychologically, she made a barrier first. I don't know this man, I don't want to see him. But this barrier then began to work for other men as well. So over time, there were other men in her life, relationships, a husband and so on, and the weight started to go up. More and then it got to 20 kilograms. And of course, no matter what she did, it never went away. Why? Because it's a defense. Imagine someone wanting to take your fence or your armor from you. You'd never give that up, nor would your psyche. But when she realized the cause, lived those feelings and emotions, the weight began to melt away. And when she resolved her trauma, she came to her normal state. Now she has both a husband and children, and the beautiful, wonderful, slim body she had always dreamed of. Very often in psychosomatics we come across childhood traumas. But the thing is that to solve the childhood trauma, you have to deal first with the child-parent relationship, because parents are the ground for childhood traumas. And to solve child-parent relationships, you have to understand how the generic system works. Because we can't understand our parents if we don't understand anything about our generic system. I have been consulting people for 10 years, helping them with various problems in psychosomatics. Knowing this from my practice, I have created a course, Psychosomatics of the Generic Systems, where we work out all these 3 layers, layer by layer, in order for a person to free himself and accept his parents, himself, and his generic system. And today I want to analyze 3 main reasons of excess weight from a psychosomatic perspective. And the first cause is edema. Yes, for sure you have heard that overweight person swells. They have a lot of fluid. That is, the body retains fluid, and this is the ground for overweight, for cellulite, for other changes and complications in our body. But why does our body retain fluid? Maybe something is not working properly, or there are some problems. But if we talk about psychosomatics, about our thoughts and feelings, everything becomes clear. It is a state of abandonment, loneliness, unwantedness, that is, I am not safe. The man has lost his basic security, so now his body is retaining fluid, because liquid is the most important guideline in life. We cannot live without water. So the first thing we need to work with is safety. And it really is. When overweight girls come to us for training, the first thing we look at is kidney conflict, insecurity, and they really confess, oh yeah, I've been living with this all my life, loneliness, abandonment, unwantedness, and it would seem that the edema is the same, but everyone has a different strategy. Somebody had a divorce of their parents, somebody moved to another country, somebody was bullied at school, something happened to someone. So there was a stressful, unexpected, dramatic, isolated situation in which the person lost their security. The world has collapsed, I don't know how to move on. And this information moved to the unconscious level. The person lives, moves on, but the body continues to save him. And this is what the edema tells us. So the first thing to work with is safety. The second thing is love and self-acceptance, no matter how trite it sounds. How does this work? A girl goes to the mirror, sees her beautiful face, and she doesn't like it. She says it's awful. Oh my God, oh no. And every time she sees herself, she falls into negative, unpleasant emotions. Have you recognized yourself? And it triggers a process inside. You see, our brain, our body, it's all very simple. We are either in tension or in relaxation. Either there is this virtual mammoth to fight with, or there is not. So when we don't like ourselves, the program gets started. But what can our body do? Either strengthen some part of it, or relax it, or change the function. So because we don't like ourselves, our body starts to strengthen those parts that we don't like. Seemingly the opposite of what we want in general. Hello cellulite, hello overweight, hello, I don't like the silhouette of my body. So, what do we need to do here? The thing to realize here is that you have to love yourself right now. It doesn't matter what you look like. That is, love will be the first step to making your excess weight melt. And here's the tricky part. Of course, when we look at ourselves in the mirror, we'll say, oh no, how can you ever love that? You're kidding, Vadym. It's impossible, right? And here we need to look a little bit lower. What attitudes, what beliefs prevent me from loving myself? Laughing at school, a former young man said something unpleasant during sex or something else, right? And so on and so forth. Where did your self-esteem, specifically your perception of your appearance, break down? Where did you start not liking yourself? Is it clear? And when you get to the root of that, and get it out of your head and start treating it differently, love will come automatically. And the third strategy is that every process has its own positive intention. And of course, excess weight can also have a meaning. And right away you will think, well, what can be the point of being overweight? It's hard, it's difficult, it's unpleasant, it's ugly. What could be good about it? Let's look into it. There are a few strategies, lots of them. If you're interested in this topic, put lights and smiles in the comments and I'll analyze it in the next videos. But today I want to talk about one strategy that's actually very important. And that's a strategy where being overweight helps me make up the loss that I've had in my life. And sometimes really being overweight equals the amount of weight of the person who's passed away. It can be a husband, it can be a child, it can be a relative who is gone. Unlived mourning, he is gone and I can't cope with this pain. And so symbolically my body keeps the memory of that person alive through being overweight. What do you think is the likelihood of that person losing weight? It's minimal, because when you try to take away the kilograms, you're actually taking away the memory of the person. It could be the person's weight, it could be the person's age, it could be a date of some sort. I worked with a girl and she had 13 extra kilograms. They were not going anywhere. And when we were talking, I said, what's 13 for you? What is 13? And she said, I got it. On December 13th, I met my husband who is no longer here, you know? And it's like 13, a metaphorical number of something nice that you want to keep in you. So Yes, sometimes being overweight helps us cope with something. I mean, what we can't deal with psychologically, our body helps us deal with. And as I said, there are so many strategies like that. I can analyze them in the next videos. So friends, let's summarize with you now. What do you need to change in yourself to make the extra weight melt away, go away? You could say bye-bye, and it was all easy. The first thing is to create a field of safety, to realize that yes, somewhere you now feel not safe, to understand where, to understand why, to ask yourself these questions and open up to the world. Talk more to friends, to acquaintances, go to networking events, spend more time with your family. That is, get out of your cocoon, because our problems, our conflicts are always about the past. It's no longer in the present and it's not there in the future. So you have to get out of your shell and create a field of safety. Secondly, friends, you have to start loving yourself. It doesn't matter how you look like now. It doesn't matter what state you are in. Self-love will just melt your fat and excess weight. So 3 times a day, go to the mirror and say, my God, what a beautiful woman she is. How appetizing she is. How sexy she is. I could eat her up. First play. Maybe you won't believe it at first. Play. Be an actress. Little by little, little by little, little by little. And every time you will do it better and better because you don't really dislike yourself. It's a program. Every person adores themselves. Start doing it. If you practice like this 3 times a day for a month, I assure you, you will feel different psychologically and physically. And thirdly, friends, ask yourself a question. If my excess weight, which I'm holding on to, not going anywhere, which is telling me that I've invented diets, running, I'll be with you, you need me. If I needed it for something, what would it be for? Just during the week, ask yourself this question and write it out. During the week, write it out. Then at the end of the week, just think like this, and indeed, what do I need it for? What could be useful in it? Friends, I'm sure that each of you has found something of their own today, some strategy, some insights. Be sure to write them in the comments. Share what you have learned for yourself today, and I will read your comments and understand what exercise is necessary for you in the future. Vadym Sanzharov was with you, and remember that health is simple.